Súper bien. Te deseo un buen corte de peso.
Charles Oliveira has been enduring a grueling weight cut as he prepares to step into the octagon against Ilia Topuria at UFC 317. With fight night fast approaching, Oliveira's commitment to hitting the mark highlights just how far he's willing to push his body in pursuit of victory. However, surrounded by his entire team, Oliveira hasn't faced the brutal cut alone. His corner has been right there with him every step of the way, offering support and rallying behind him as he drains every last ounce to make weight. And it's not just Oliveira's team standing behind him. His family plays a huge role in his fight prep as well. In a recent reveal, Oliveira shared that his parents actually fast alongside him during his brutal weight cuts. It's their way of lifting his spirits and reminding him he's not alone in the struggle, sending a powerful message that they'll sit down and share that first post-weigh-in meal as a family once the job is done.
9 horas da noite eu liguei pra minha mãe e falei assim, ó, já tô no peso, fique em paz, tá ligado? Pode comer porque minha mãe não come também. Fica no jejum junto com minha mãe e meu pai, tá ligado?
Ah, sério?
Pra te incentivar?
Pra incentivar, pá.
Mano.
E aí,
Que
mano,
da hora.
eu falei, mano, minha mãe, não, amanhã a gente come junto, tal. Eu falei, não, mano, fica em paz e tal. Pô, fui dormir.
Furthermore, in a surprising display of sportsmanship, Topuria and Oliveira crossed paths in the same sauna while enduring their weight cuts. Despite the tension of fight week, both fighters shared the stifling heat, a reminder that beyond the rivalry lies a mutual respect forged through the same punishing grind. This unexpected moment underscored the grit and professionalism that both men are bringing into the octagon at UFC 317.
Súper bien. Te deseo un buen corte de peso. Wow, pegado, 1 hora y 15 en el horno. Nos han aumentado la temperatura y la humedad.
I had to become more professional in the weight cut than in a fight game, you know? And it was taking a lot of time and energy from me, and I'm like, my dream is to become a world champion. I want to end up this chapter that I have, that I started in 145, and now it's time to really enjoy it.
That moment didn't go unnoticed either, as Volkanovski chimed in with his take on the unusual moment when Oliveira and Topuria crossed paths in the sauna. He lightheartedly pointed out the irony of two men about to trade heavy shots, soon sitting side by side, sweating it out like teammates. Watching Oliveira's team pile on towels to squeeze out every last drop, Volkanovski noted just how punishing it is to stay hydrated through such intense heat sessions, a gritty reminder of the unseen battles fighters endure before they even step under the lights.
You know, a lot of people think he's like, I guess he's
Cocky
a mean
guy, yeah.
cocky, mean guy, but he's actually very respectful. But
Even him and Charles in the sauna, you saw that?
I did actually. I just seen that literally before I came in. So, but yeah, you know, they'll obviously go out there and try and take each other's head off, but they'll cuddle in the sauna before it, I guess.
Like this looks like a late push.
So is that you reckon they're doing that now? Is that an old video? Is that an old photo
You think they just posted it now?
I mean, that's what I mean.
That would be too
you
early,
shouldn't
right?
be doing that yet. Yeah. That's not like fair enough. You go. A lot of people like to sweat. They'll go get a sweat out, and then, you know, after like say a workout, after a good sweat, they go and keep sweating.
Yeah.
Even though you're going to hydrate back up, but you just, you know, you like to. Everyone likes to get a good sweat, and it still does help. You still start depleting a bit of that water each time you do it, but you're going to hydrate back up anyway. So if he's doing it now, you know, cutting weight, and then he has to do a press conference tonight.
Later.
In addition, Ilia has emphasized that the harsh reality of drastic weight cuts played a major role in his decision to settle into the 155-pound division. Aware of how draining the process can be, he opted for lightweight to stay closer to his natural walking weight and avoid unnecessary strain. It's a calculated move aimed at preserving his strength and conditioning so he can step into the cage fresher, sharper, and ready to deliver when it matters most.
To be honest, the weight cut is the main reason that gives me the opportunity to enjoy the whole process, because when you're hungry, when you're tasty, when you're facing that kind of things, you can't really enjoy anything, you know. So in this time, even at this point, I'm good. I don't feel hungry, I don't feel tasty, I feel with energy. If I was fighting in the featherweight, at this point I was like, I don't know, struggling a lot, which is not the case right now. You sometimes feel that you're really gonna die. I wasn't able to sleep in 48 hours at all because I was so dehydrated. My body was so like skinny. At that moment, you don't give a f about anything material.
However, turning to the wider fight scene, Demetrious Johnson weighed in on the matchup, calling it one of the more intriguing clashes on the card. He sees Topuria's relentless pressure as a real threat to Oliveira, believing that if Topuria hurts him, he won't give the Brazilian any room to recover on the ground. Instead, Johnson expects Topuria to push forward, break through Oliveira's guard, and look to finish the job with a decisive submission, testing the former champ's famed grappling in his own domain.
Ilia Topuria taking on Charles Oliveira. Now this is an absolute banger. When you look at Charles Oliveira, the only time he seems to have any trouble when he's fighting is when he's on his feet striking against his opponent. This is a very intriguing fight because I feel Ilia Topuria is going to be able to hurt Charles Oliveira, and he's not going to just let Charles Oliveira go to his back. You're going to see Ilia Topuria go, follow him into the guard, look to pass his guard, look to submit him, pass his guard, then submit him.
Additionally, Johnson broke down what each fighter needs to do to secure the win. For Oliveira, he sees the path to victory in leaning on his trademark shooter box style, marching forward behind a tight high guard, closing the distance, and launching those dangerous high knees that can change a fight in an instant.
Let's go with Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira, key to victory number one is that he has to use his shooter box. He has to walk forward with that high guard, look to throw those high knees up the middle, or that high kick. Almost take a blueprint of Jay Herbert, how he was able to hurt Ilia Topuria because he does have the height advantage.
Johnson advises a game plan built on constant pressure and punishing strikes to keep Topuria guessing and disrupt his rhythm early.
So when he's bobbing and weaving on the X and Y axis, you can throw a knee up the middle and hopefully you can time it, kind of like Dan Hooker back in the very beginning of his career. Key to victory number two, if you do get hurt, get ready to let Ilia Topuria come in your guard and stifle him. Stifle him, work the grappling, and try to get his back, lock up the fighting triangle, and slow down the fight. Because once you're able to slow down the fight, use your jiu-jitsu, I feel that's his best way to the victory. Or key to victory number three, let's bang. Now, I gave those three key to victories for Charles Oliveira.
As for Topuria, Johnson sees his key to victory in doing what he always does best, getting to his spots and unleashing relentless offense once he's there. If he can drop Oliveira, Johnson believes the smart move will be to switch gears immediately.
Doing number one for Ilia Topuria is get to where you need to. If you're able to cross the forward, get to the spot you need to, which you always do in all your fights against Max Holloway, Alex Volkanovski, he gets there, he's going to unload a 5-piece chicken meal, and he's going to go body, head.
Demetrious advised that instead of focusing solely on ground and pound, Topuria should shift his approach, work to pass Oliveira's guard, and hunt for the finish with a tight submission. It's that ability to adapt mid-fight, Johnson suggests, that could make all the difference when the action hits the mat.
Number two, for Ilia Topuria, if you do drop Charles Oliveira, which I kind of predict that he is, make sure if you do follow him in the guard, change your mindset from trying to hit him, but to change your mindset to pass in the guard. Look to pass, because once you pass the guard, you're going to force Charles to either turtle or you're going to land a side control, and then you can start your game there, or a half guard. It all depends, but the mindset's got to change. I'm going into, I drop him, boom, drops him. I come in, watch out for the up kicks, pass his guard, and then start your, what are you gonna do next? Are you gonna punch or you're gonna submit with your darts or whatever you wanna do? Key to victory number three, be a bully. If you're able to bully Charles Oliveira, he allows a bully to bully him.
In addition, Alexander Volkanovski gave his prediction for the clash, siding with Topuria as the likely winner based on how their styles match up and what both men have shown so far. He pointed out that if Oliveira comes out aggressively, it could open the door for Topuria to find his moments, especially since Ilia has the power to make every shot count.
Could I ask about the main event?
Yeah. Well, so I've got Ilia. I've got Ilia. I think just stylistically, and what we've seen, you know, Charles likes to, you know, he's very aggressive, very exciting fight. That's why we all love to watch him. But you know, if he comes aggressive like that, there's going to be opportunities for Ilia. And Ilia can bang. You know what I mean? If you're going to come forward like that, yeah, you might land yourself. That's always going to be something as well, right? Like Charles could definitely catch him, but yeah, you can be hittable if you come aggressively like that, especially with someone like Ilia who's going to back himself and try and put one on you as you're coming in like that, especially if you're a little bit out of position, that.
For Volk, the big question mark though is how Topuria will handle being pushed backward if Oliveira keeps charging forward with his trademark pressure and knees. For Volkanovski, that unknown makes this matchup all the more intriguing as both men test each other's limits in ways fans haven't seen before.
It's an interesting one because we don't know how Ilia is on the back foot.
Right.
But will Charles be like, his only chance is catching me, I'm going to shoot, I'm going to tell him I'm going to come forward aggressive, but I'm actually going to shoot on him. We'll see what happens. But if he comes aggressive and does what he always does, I think, Ilia.
Furthermore, Oliveira didn't shy away from addressing Topuria's trash talk either, brushing it off as nothing new in the fight game. From his perspective, plenty of fighters have run their mouths in the build-up, only to come up short when it's time to back it up under the bright lights. For Oliveira, the real statement won't be made in interviews. It'll be settled inside the cage when the talking stops and the fists start flying at UFC 317.
Desses caras que falam muito, e quando chegam lá na hora, você sabe o que acontece.
You've seen this a lot. People talk a lot and then talk up a good game, and then when go to face you up there, what happens?
Eu respeito demais ele, mas de verdade eu acredito no poder de fogo que eu tenho nas mãos. Eu posso vencer esse cara.
Michael Chandler, obviously, got a lot of firepower. Topuria hits really hard and knows how to hit. So, and I faced a lot of different guys. I faced guys with all different kinds of styles, and they know this. That I can confront them. The UFC knows that they put me in this place because I can actually stop them. I believe in this firepower that I have.
Building on that, Oliveira also addressed the wave of doubt that often surrounds him ahead of big fights. Far from letting the skeptics get under his skin, he sees their doubt as fuel. For him, there's nothing more satisfying than stepping into the cage and proving the naysayers wrong, turning every question mark into motivation to push harder and deliver when it matters most.
Isso é muito bom. Quanto mais... O que as pessoas não entenderam é que quanto mais eles falam que eu não posso, mais eu quero provar que eu posso. Olha a minha história lá atrás. Eu não podia jogar uma bola de futebol. Eu morava no fundo da casa da minha avó. Eu não tinha nem um chinelo. Olha quem eu sou hoje. Acha que eu ligo porque esses caras falam, o que eles pensam?
It's really good. The more they talk about it, the more I love to prove them wrong. Yeah. And I can do it. Like, listen, look at, it doesn't matter what they say. Look at where I was back in the day. Thought I wasn't going to be able to play ball. Doctor told me so. I used to live in the back of my grandma's house back in the day. I didn't have money to buy flip-flops, man. And now look where I am. And look at what I've done. And I can continue to do that.
Na realidade eu não ligo. Não faz diferença. Eu não fico focado no que estão falando ou se não estão falando. Essa é real. Na realidade, a mim é indiferente.
I don't care. Really, I don't care. I'm not focused on whatever people are saying, what they do and what they think. To me, whatever they say or don't, it doesn't make a difference.
In addition, Max Holloway weighed in on the matchup, calling it one of the most entertaining fights fans could hope for. He pushed back at those counting Oliveira out, warning that it's a mistake to underestimate a fighter who always seems to find a way to pull off the win.
Man, this fight is gonna be super fun. A lot of you guys, a lot of people are counting Charles Oliveira out, which kind of like, you guys don't learn your lesson, bro. You can't count this man out. This man always finds a way to somehow win, What I see happening though is Charles likes getting hit. There's not, and when Ilia hits people, we all see what happens.
Holloway pointed out that while Topuria packs serious power and will be looking to land big, Oliveira has shown time and again that he can absorb punishment and keep coming forward. For Holloway, the real question is whether Topuria's first clean shot will be enough to switch Oliveira's lights off, and if it isn't, will Oliveira's grit drag him right back into the fight?
First shot that Ilia lands, is it going to put him away? Is it going to put Charles Oliveira away? And is Charles not going to be able to recover from it? That is the biggest question here. Like, whatever Ilia lands on Charles first, does it put him away completely? Or do we see the wounded Charles get back up somehow, fight back in the fight, and somehow gets a finish, And he somehow found a way to win, So from my perspective, this fight is going to be decided probably in the first 3 minutes or 4 minutes of this fight, of the first round, because Oliveira is gonna get touched, and is Ilia gonna touch him with something that puts him out cold, or is gonna hurt him and then he somehow finds a way to fight back? So that's the main thing with this fight, you know.
Echoing similar sentiments, Chael Sonnen weighed in with his trademark analysis, pointing out that history tends to favor the younger, smaller champion moving up when two former world title holders collide. Despite that pattern, Sonnen's gut tells him this time could be different. He's backing Oliveira to break that trend, betting on the Brazilian's experience, toughness, and knack for rising to the moment when the stakes are highest.
If you were to go back and you could even bring boxing into it, history is very clear. You've got two former world champions that are going to fight. The smaller world champion, the guy that comes from his weight class, and the younger of the two wins every time. That's a big word for me to use. Every time. Yes, every time. You will not find an exception to what I just said. And with that said, I'm taking Charles Oliveira.
Sonnen further stated that knocking Charles is novel, but a very difficult thing to accomplish, because Oliveira always pushes through resistance and thrives.
And I think that Charles is going to wear on him. I think this concept of knocking Charles out is novel, but it's a very difficult thing to do. And I've seen people get very close. I've seen Charles down. I've seen referees step in. I go back to the night that Michael Chandler, I mean, it was one split second of a referee's mind makes Chandler world champion and gets Oliveira out of there, or makes Oliveira survive and walk through that fire. And I just think Charles is going to walk through that fire. I'm going to say that history is going to be shown to be wrong on Saturday. I am taking Charles Oliveira by TKO.
In addition, Michael Bisping gave his take on how he sees the fight playing out, predicting that Oliveira will do exactly what Topuria expects, march forward with the same relentless style fans know so well. Bisping made it clear he respects Oliveira's grit, but doubts that a veteran at 36 is suddenly going to reinvent his approach overnight. He expects Topuria to meet that pressure head on, and warns that if Oliveira tries to switch things up too much, he could end up playing right into Topuria's hands instead of dictating the fight on his own terms.
Now he's taking on Charles Oliveira. Charles is the man. He's almost 36 years old, okay? Getting towards the end of his career as well. Yes, he's had an incredible career. He was the champion. He's got the most bonuses, the most finishes, the most submissions, but he's also got quite a few losses on there. 10 to be exact. Now granted, a lot of those were in the featherweight division. He did lose to Islam, he did lose to Arman Sarukian by a split decision, and then beat Michael Chandler back at 309 last year in Madison Square Garden. But has he taken too much damage? Okay, is he going to mix things up? Listen, he's going to walk forward just like Ilia says he is, and that's what makes him so exciting. And a lot of the time, he can get away with it. He's got good striking. He can hit hard. And I was talking to Paul Felder about him, who beat him back in the day. And I have so much respect for this guy. However, he ain't going to reinvent himself at 36 years old. He isn't going to change a goddamn thing. And Ilia is correct. He is going to walk at him because that's what he does. He can't stand there and reinvent himself and go toe-to-toe with Ilia. He can't look to pick his shots and be calculated. No, that's what Ilia does. He has to turn it into an absolute brawl, turn it into madness, get a hold of him, drive a knee up the middle, drop an elbow. Maybe Ilia makes a mistake, slaps on a go-go platter or a flying triangle, whatever it is. That's why Charles Oliveira is so exciting, because that is how he can win his fights. And he can't change, okay? If he changes, he's playing into the hands to Ilia.
Bisping ultimately threw his support behind Topuria to get the win this weekend. He sees Oliveira pressing forward as usual, but walking right into something heavy from Topuria's arsenal. For Bisping, Topuria making the jump up in weight is only going to work to his advantage, giving him more power to unleash when Oliveira comes charging in. It's that combination of timing and raw power that Bisping believes will make the difference once the cage door closes.
The man's a class act, he's an absolute superstar, and he will go on to become a two-weight division champion. That is correct, my friends. He gets the job done this weekend. I think he's absolutely nailed it. I think Charles Oliveira goes forward and he gets caught with something big. Ilia going up to 155 is going to increase the muscle mass, it's going to increase the recovery, it's going to increase the amount of carbs that he can take on through a training camp. He's going to recover better, he's going to be a better athlete. And Oliveira used to be 145 as well, like we talked about. So it's not like he's going to have a massive size advantage. Ilia Topuria is going to be somewhere like 175 pounds, maybe even as high as 179 pounds is what he said this week. So Ilia Topuria's got the punching power anyway. I think he's going to be the better athlete.
When the lights come on at UFC 317, all the speculation, bold predictions, and heated words will fade into the background, leaving only Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria to settle the score inside the octagon. From brutal weight cuts and unexpected sauna encounters to rival camps trading jabs, this fight has built the kind of tension that only a war inside the cage can resolve. One thing's certain, when that cage door locks, both men will carry the weight of every ounce they've shed. If you're fired up for this clash as much as we are, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates, breakdowns, or post-fight reactions. And we will see you in the next video with more exciting updates.